Hello and welcome to Planet Pulse on Firstpost. The Earth is constantly changing, and in recent years, for the worse. Summers are getting hotter and winters harsher. Rising sea levels, floods, drought, wildfires and torrential rain have been disrupting lives across continents. The fight against climate change is needed now more than ever. On this show, we bring you all the top stories on the climate crisis, its causes, its brutal effects, and the warriors helping fight the menace. The world's biggest climate conference is underway. At the heart of the Amazon, climate leaders have gathered. All of them face some hard truths, broken promises, and record heat. They are discussing how to save the planet's lungs, and there's a rallying cry to save what's left in a rapidly closing window. Because outside the COP30, those very lungs are choking on protests and rising heat. Here's everything shaping the global climate summit.
COP30, the 30th UN Climate Change Conference, is underway in Belém, Brazil. It's being called one of the most crucial meetings since the Paris Agreement. Why? Because scientists say the window to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius is almost shut. The World Meteorological Organization released a stark update. The years between 2015 and 2025 are now officially the warmest decade ever recorded. Greenhouse gas levels are at record highs, sea ice is melting faster than ever, and oceans are heating up at alarming rates. Amid these warnings, world leaders launched a Declaration on Information Integrity. 10 countries have already signed it, committing to fight climate disinformation, promote media freedom, and ensure that climate science is communicated accurately. It's the first time a global climate summit has formally addressed the threat of misinformation. But outside the halls of negotiation, protests are growing louder. Indigenous groups and environmental activists clashed with security forces in Belém, accusing world leaders of ignoring forest communities. They say protecting the Amazon isn't just about carbon, it's about people who live there.
It was an attempt to get the attention of the government and the UN that are in this space. The only moment the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples contacted me was to ask where I was and to say they needed to talk and calm down because they knew there was going to be an attempt to invade COP30 because we're not in the COP30 space where our relatives are and we need another space.
Inside, the debates are intense. Delegates are negotiating on climate finance, how much rich countries will pay and how soon to help developing nations adapt. There's talk of a $1.3 trillion annual target for adaptation and loss and damage funding by 2035. Developing countries, especially in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, say progress on this front will define the credibility of the summit. There's also growing focus on super-pollutants, like methane and hydrofluorocarbons. These are short-lived but extremely potent gases that could offer a faster route to cool the planet. Negotiators hope for new pledges to cut these emissions drastically in the next decade. But global politics looms large. The United States skipped sending any high-level delegation this year, drawing criticism for stepping back on climate leadership. Meanwhile, China is under pressure to ramp up their national climate targets, known as NDCs, before 2026. For the Global South, COP30 is about fairness. Nations argue they're being asked to sacrifice growth while richer economies keep polluting. India has called for more finance, technology transfer, and accountability from the developed world. As the summit enters its final week, some key questions remain. Will new commitments actually match the scale of the crisis? Will climate finance promises finally turn into real money? And can nations unite on action before nature forces their hand? The next few days in Belém will decide if COP30 becomes another round of promises. Or will it result in a turning point the planet desperately needs? Because as scientists warn, the climate clock is still ticking, and this time there may be no reset.
Our next story is from the Philippines. The sound of rain in the Philippines is never just rain. It's a warning. Before one storm can even fade, another is already forming over the Pacific. Typhoon Fanwang has torn through the islands, leaving homes in ruins and families in evacuation centres. Only a week ago, Typhoon Kalmegi did the same, claiming hundreds of lives. Year after year, storm after storm, the same story unfolds. But as the oceans grow warmer and the winds more violent, survival itself begins to feel like defiance. And with each rising tide, the question grows louder. What happens when endurance runs out? Our next report brings you more on why the Philippines is so susceptible to typhoons every year.
Backhoes growl, chainsaws buzz. Across the Philippines, rescuers dig through shattered homes, twisted trees, and mountains of mud. Typhoon Fanwang has passed, but its fury lingers. 25 lives lost, over 1 million people displaced, roads swallowed, power lines snapped, and whole towns cut off from the world.
It will take a long time to recover. We put a lot of effort into investing in our business, but in the span of the night, it was all gone.
But this wasn't the first blow. Just days earlier, Typhoon Kalmegi tore through the central islands, killing over 230 people. Streets became rivers. Cars became boats. Lives scattered like debris. President Ferdinand Marcos declared a year-long state of national calamity.
Because of the scope of, shall we say, problem areas that will be hit, that has been hit by Tino and will be hit by Uwan, there was a proposal from the NDRMC, which I approved, that we will declare a national calamity.
2 storms in 2 weeks. And one question echoes across the islands. Why us? And the answer lies in geography. The Philippines is perched on the Pacific typhoon belt, Earth's spinning cradle of storms. 1/3 of all the world's tropical cyclones are born here. Every year, around 19 storms enter the Philippine waters and up to 9 strike land. It's not bad luck, it's location. The seas surrounding the islands are warm all year, feeding storms the way oxygen feeds fire. And with 7,641 islands, there's nowhere for the wind or water to go but straight through.
The Philippines is always going to be vulnerable to tropical cyclones. It sits on the western edge of the Pacific. The Pacific is warming at a rate that's unprecedented, and that warmth generates very, very strong tropical cyclones.
From June to October, the southwest monsoon breathes warm, wet air across the archipelago. Then comes the northeast monsoon, cooler but equally restless. Their clash stirs the skies, keeps the air alive, and spins storms out of nothing. Typhoons are born from heat. The ocean's warmth is their heartbeat. In the western Pacific, sea temperatures hover around 28 degrees Celsius, the perfect brew for destruction. The hotter the sea, the stronger the storm. And as these systems drift across open water, nothing slows them down. The aftermath is always the same, but never easier. Crops gone, fishing boats smashed, roads buried, power lines down, And scientists warn it's getting worse. Climate change is turning strong storms into monsters. The seas are hotter, the air holds more moisture, and typhoons hit harder, they linger longer, and leave deeper scars.
So it's something of serious concern as our oceans warm and climate change has more and more impacts on our communities. This is a very clear example that these typhoons are likely to happen more in the future and more frequently, and we need to keep people as safe as possible.
In fact, according to the World Risk Index 2025, the Philippines has been ranked first for the most at-risk country on Earth. Because here, storms are not just weather, they are warnings. Each wave louder than the last. Each gust a reminder. Because one day, if the planet keeps warming, the Philippines may not just face another storm, it may face the storm that never ends.
And now our final story. In the world's coldest corner, the ice is melting faster than anyone thought possible. A glacier collapsed in Antarctica, disappearing by nearly 50% in just 2 months, the fastest retreat ever recorded in modern history. The Hectoria Glacier's sudden vanishing act isn't just a scientific shock, it's a stark warning from the front lines of the climate crisis. What researchers stumbled upon was more than a natural event. It was a sign of accelerating instability at Earth's frozen edge. And experts say if larger glaciers begin to follow the same pattern, it could trigger catastrophic sea level rise, reshaping coastlines, cities, and lives around the world. Here is the report.
In the frozen wilderness of Antarctica, a glacier the size of Philadelphia has just pulled a vanishing act that left scientists stunned. The Hectoria Glacier, nestled along the Antarctic Peninsula, shrank by nearly 50% in just 2 months, the fastest retreat ever recorded in modern history. To put that in perspective, grounded glaciers like Hectoria typically inch back a few hundred meters a year. But between November and December 2022, Hectoria retreated a jaw-dropping 5 miles. Experts say the rate of retreat is just crazy. The discovery published in Nature Geoscience was a stroke of scientific serendipity. Researchers weren't even studying Hectoria. They were monitoring nearby sea ice when they noticed the glacier had lost a huge chunk of itself in record time. What they found next painted a worrying picture of a warming world. For more than a decade, a sheet of sea ice anchored to the land had kept Hectoria stable. But when the protective layer broke apart in 2022, the glacier lost its balance. Waves and warmer waters surged in, breaking up the ice tongue that once stretched into the bay. And beneath the surface lay another culprit, an ice plain. A slippery seabed that made the glacier especially prone to collapse. Once the first slab fell, it set off a domino effect, carving one iceberg after another. While Hectoria itself is small by Antarctic standards, the event sends a chilling warning. If larger glaciers, some the size of Britain, were to retreat at the same pace, the result would be catastrophic for global sea levels. Antarctica alone holds enough ice to raise the world's oceans by about 190 feet. Antarctic glaciers aren't just frozen landscapes, they're planetary regulators. Their bright, icy surfaces reflect sunlight, helping to cool the Earth. They drive deep ocean currents that distribute heat across the globe and store about 70% of the world's fresh water. When these glaciers melt, it's not only sea levels that rise, it's global instability, from disrupted ocean circulation to flooded coastlines. Findings raise the bar on our understanding of how fast Antarctic glaciers may retreat. And that understanding is crucial, because these icy giants are the planet's thermostat, and they're starting to break. In other words, the world's coldest place just gave us one of the hottest warnings yet.
That's it on Planet Pulse for today. We will see you again at the same time next week. Until then, Thank you for watching.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.